Okay, let's do this. Women and premise. This is going to be a final one to finish off, hopefully the final one, finish off the Man of the House series that I started there. First, I know reading comments, I saw two questions. One question basically, and the other was kind of an idea that arose out of observation. First was about women. Am I addressing these ideas at women? Yes, and kind of. Yes, insofar as independence at an early age, at the cusp of adulthood, I believe is good for both men and women. I have to temper it a bit with women because they suffer independence. They suffer the extremities of independence. They can suffer, that's a better word, they can suffer the extremities of independence in a very different way, in a more dangerous way. Let me give you an example. The stuff that I'm advocating is pretty fierce stuff. I'm basically saying get yourself kicked out, or kick yourself out, or get kicked, or have, if you're a parent, kick your kids out, your sons out at the age of 20, and don't offer them much help. Let them just go at it on their own. And what that possibly could lead to is some pretty extreme states. You could lead to a poverty, a destitute state of physical and mental state. It could lead to homelessness, and all that goes along with those various conditions. Now, here's how it works. If I have a son and daughter, okay? Son, do I want a son living in a hobo camp? No. I mean, yeah, sure. I can handle a son living in a hobo camp. I had it backwards. Could I handle my daughter Emily? Let's assume I had a son. I would apply it there. Could I handle Emily living in a hobo camp? No, I wouldn't want that. Could I have a son hitchhiking, getting, without a car and hitchhiking between work and home, or school and home? Yeah, I could handle that. Is it dangerous? You bet. I've done a lot of it. I've had a lot of dangerous experiences. But yeah, I could handle that. Could I handle a daughter hitchhiking around? No, I couldn't handle that. Could I handle a son living out of a tent in a field and eating Pop-Tarts, dry cereal and dry bread as their sustenance? Yes, I could handle that. Could I handle a daughter doing that? No, I couldn't. All of that relates to the inherent risks that come with being female. After all, male and female are very different animals, as my professor, Jim Delory, was very fond of saying. So, I'm going to back off a little bit. I'm going to say, yeah, I do recommend the same type of thing, but with cautions related to women. And I'm not going to speak so much about them because I don't know a lot about them. I leave that basically up to my wife. She handles the daughter raising. I handle the. If we had a son, I would handle that. Well, if not, I'll just blah blah on the internet. So anyway, so there we go. I handled the women part. Now let's talk about the other part. Some interesting comments were made regarding the experience of other cultures. Now, I forgot to mention in the very first video that all of this is based on my experience in the American culture and being American. In American society, we value almost above all other things, arguably, the freedom of living, expression, freedom of thought, expression, and life. Those are our cherished things that we strive for, and we hold them dear within our heart, almost to the exclusion of so many other things. We would give me liberty or give me death. The freedom and the pursuit of happiness. Happiness is a part of that. We're creating happiness, finding happiness through the discovery of discovery of our bliss and the following of our bliss. These are the fundamental elements of being an American, and a lot of other cultures share these as well, but a lot of them don't. Here in Japan, they definitely do not share that. In Japan, there is a much more stronger adherence to the status quo, to getting along, and to being a harmonious member, to being a contributor to a harmonious society. Now here in Japan, you also have therefore witness the family household, the compound where multiple generations are investing their efforts and their strength, including their money, and giving up a lot of free will in order to have the safety, comfort, and security and warmth that goes along with this. They are living under the largesse of their progenitors, and quite happy at it, or at least they like to say they are. I don't know. This is not a video to talk about relative happiness across cultures. But I can tell you this, that in the American culture, with the pursuits that we have, the premise that we have on life, kicking your kid out at an early age in order to give them an opportunity to suffer, to experience, to develop an idea about, or a way of life for themselves, is a very advantageous thing to do. Now it comes to another point there, risk. I nowhere in any of the previous videos or in my blog have ever said that any of this stuff was without risk. I've never stated that you're going to kick your kid out, that they're going to wind up just fine in the end, a strong, competent, capable adult. They may end up screwed up. They may end up mentally trampled. They may be physically battered. They may give up on life. They may end up dead. It's a very true risk. Is it a risk that's worth taking? In my book, definitely. Certainly is the case. If I had a son and he died an early death in the pursuit of the experience of life and the discovery of a livelihood that was more meaningful to him, I would miss him. I would regret the death greatly. I would applaud the course that he had taken in so doing, although it would be a terrible thing indeed. Now, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want him dead in any way, but I would want him to live in a very meaningful and powerful way, even if it meant a shorter life. So there we go. We have the women. We have the premise of the argument. One last thing here: if you are not of the frame of mind, if you don't share my perspective, if you don't adhere to or say, yeah, Kurt, hey, that sounds like a pretty good thing. Freedom of thought, voice, and action. Yeah, that's what I want to have. If you're not of that frame of mind, then don't ignore what I say. Hey, ignore what I say anyway. But if you aren't of that mind, then if you value something else, if you'd rather be warm and snug in the cocoon of ancestry and and discovering a way of life through the benefaction of, is that even a word? The benefaction of your family, past your childhood years, then so be it. Go for it. Lots of people get by on that. Ain't for me, no thank you, sir. I don't want anything to do with that. What a funny thing that I wound up in a country where that is status quo. I don't know. Yeah, would I go so far as to express this stuff to other people? I think it do. I think it's in general. I think this is a human way of being. I know a lot of Japanese men who basically have never ventured beyond the bounds of the guided path, and they're pretty domestic people. Not for me, but hey, it works for them, so I'm not gonna criticize. There you go. So if you are of a like mind, if what I'm saying does make sense to you, you want to have free thought, a voice and expression, and you're willing to take a little risk, possibly even willing to die for it, then you're over 20. Give your 3-month notice. If you're under 20, get ready for the adventure to begin in earnest when you get to that point. And head out there, and I'm not guaranteeing you're going to be successful. I'm not guaranteeing you're going to even live. But I guarantee you this much: you will live. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.